more than an event. It is a call to action for a healthier future for our nation. I extend my sincere gratitude to our partners, Cargill, and all the panelists for their kind support and collaboration. So, the focus of today's discussion, our policy brief, is not just a document, but a blueprint for action. It summarizes a thorough research and comprehensive analysis conducted by our team and stakeholders. So, this policy brief shows a vivid picture of the current ITFA situation in Pakistan. It maps out the regulatory landscape and, most importantly, outlines actionable recommendations that aim to curb ITFA consumption. It's significant. It's significant step forward in combating the rise in cardiovascular diseases and other health issues. In just a few moments, I will have the honor to invite Mr. Usman Qayyum, CEO and country lead of Cargill, Pakistan, to begin our webinar with his opening remarks. His perspective will be particularly invaluable as it comes from a place of extensive experience and deep understanding of both challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. Following Mr. Qayyum address, we will hear from Dr. Tahira Siddiqui, from Islamabad Food Authority. Her presentation will delve into depths of our policy brief, drawing attention to its key findings and laying the groundwork for our discussion. Uh, Thereafter, we'll move forward with a panel discussion moderated by Yasha Gulreis. Afterwards, we'll have a closing remarks by Dr. Waqar Ahmed, Joint Executive Director, SDPI. I would now request Mr. Usman Qayyum for his opening remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Fatma.
Excuse me, I have a voice issue. So it is on my side or other
No.
perspective?
No, Usman sir, we have lost your voice in between. I guess there is some internet issue.
Can you just
Sir, not
am I audible?
sir, not clearly. I guess there is some internet issues. You can switch off your video.
Sorry for that. Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, sorry for that. Sorry for that interruption. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fatma, and thank you, SDPI, for giving me this opportunity to really speak about this very important subject, which we are going to talk about today. I understand SDPI has been working on this for some time in order to create some public awareness around this topic. And I really appreciate the work which you, other SDPI team, Dr. Waqar, have done in terms of including different platforms and as well as using different modes to create such awareness of this important issue right now, which is being faced not only just in Pakistan, but globally as well. But I think it's more relevant in the context of Pakistan as well. So this particular webinar, I've gone through that policy brief, which by SDPI. I must again congratulate all of you, the SDPI team, for creating this document. And I must say that this document is going to go for a long way in terms of creating that not only awareness, but also reaching out to a number of stakeholders in the industry as well as in the regulators side to create some kind of a journey going forward whereby we can tackle this problem collectively, all of us. I was looking at that document and a lot of facts has been given over there, and I don't want to repeat those facts over here. But interestingly, yesterday morning, I was just watching the TV, and there was a program in BBC regarding the business, and one of the topic they picked up was around a similar subject. So it was very interesting. Yesterday morning, it was about a 6, 7, 8 minute segment which they had, and some of the very interesting facts which they shared during that program. I thought it would be good that I would share those facts from the global perspective as well. They were actually talking about more around the obesity, which is again one of the outcome of the topic that we are talking about industry trans fat, trans fatty acids thing. So this obesity data, which some of that data they shared, and I'll just quote some of their information. They said almost like 1 billion people in the world right now who are obese. Now, this is something very, very, I would say, alarming for all of us, because it's almost like you can say 13 to 14% of the total population. And this trend is more into the new generation rather than the old generation. That's another interesting fact. And one of the reasons they talked about is also our lifestyles, whereby we are moving towards more into the packaged foods, the fast foods, and all those things, and that all being used using all these fats products, which has got high contents of trans fatty acids as well. So this is one thing which is very interesting fact. Another important thing, they tried to look into the economic impact of that as well. So what they shared yesterday, that almost like $2 trillion is the economic impact of this obesity around the world. Now that's again an interesting number, an interesting thing to really ponder upon, because when they talk about the economic impact, they're not just talking about that medical cost which is linked with this menace, but they are also talking about number of other things in terms of low productivity of individuals who are actually obese. Then there are certain employment challenges for those people. Then there are certain mental health issues with those people. All combined together, they have come out to this number that there's almost like $2 trillion economic impact of this particular thing. And they expect that probably by 2030, this economic impact is going to go to something like $3 trillion as well. Now, it's all about basically when we looks at these facts, we can very much relate to within our own place as well. We can see it in Pakistan also, this trend of obesity, the usage of such kind of a food, and also our lifestyle, which the way it is going forward, that is creating this kind of an issue for us. So it is important what is leading to that. And when we talk about these industrially trans fatty acids, this is one of the major source of all these menaces as well, because these trans fatty acids actually then turn into that fat which is being accumulated in our body and then lead to obesity as well. Now, this is not just one part which we are talking about obesity, then there are other harmful impact, and I think all those has been very well captured in that policy brief also, which relates to a lot of medical issues as well, especially the cardiovascular issues that we see right now, which is on the rise. One of the major reasons is obviously this particular challenge that we are facing. Now, this is all about the background and the challenge that we have. Now, I think as collectively, as an industry, collectively as the responsible stakeholder, and I would also include the regulators in that. It is our responsibility to take certain actions in this regard so that we can at least to our next generations and to other people who are currently there, we can not only create that awareness, but also make sure that these kind of things can be our food chain and our food basket as well. With the right kind of a regulation which deals with this kind of a situation, whereby we can tackle this problem also. And this particular effort that I see right now from SDPI, whereby they have created this document for the policy brief, and I'm sure this document is going to go to various stakeholders also end of the day. And would not only create the awareness, but also give them a kind of a thought relates to the overall medical concerns which the society has. And these regulators has to then intervene. They need to probably have, and I was looking at those conclusions also, which I don't totally agree as well. They need to be a consistent regulations around that, and then a proper compliance to those regulations also. I'm sure the whole industry is going to support that. Being in Cargill, we have been extremely supportive to this initiative, not only locally over here, but
Apologies, Mr. Usman. We lost your voice.
Globally, we have committed to this earlier this year, and now at this point in time, Cargill not really.
We lost Mr. Qayyum in between. Just let me get him back in the meeting. Sir, please continue.
Thank you. Sorry for that. Like I said, I have.
Sir, there's an internet issue, I guess. So you can switch off your video so that we can hear you clearly.
Unfortunately today, but I'll just I think right. I was just saying that this event, which states a lot of facts, which talks about the background, and also gives some very valuable conclusions and the way forward also. This is very critical and important to take to the relevant stakeholders as well, and including the producers and the providers of these industrial fats, as well as the users, which is primarily those food manufacturing companies, and also the consumer who actually have to be very watchful while taking any intake in terms of their food basket. All those people not only will be able to get more awareness, but at the end of the day, will be able to muster all that support together in order to create an environment, an ecosystem, control this issue, but also help us to tackle this challenge which we are currently faced with. So I won't take too much time right now, and I understand my connection is also not very stable. So at the end, I would also thank all the participants to join who are joining today, and again, thank you SDPI for making sure that this kind of an initiative they have rolled out, and I'm sure as going forward, this will be taken forward and it will have a very good impact for all those stakeholders who are part of this whole discussion and debate. So thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you all the participants. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Usman, for your thoughtful opening remarks that have adeptly set the stage for our session. Your insights provide a strong foundation for a meaningful dialogue ahead. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Tahira to present the key elements of our policy brief. Over to you, Dr. Tahira. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are audible. You may share your screen, please.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cargill and SDPI, for giving me this opportunity to explain the policy brief. It is a very wonderful document prepared by the SDPI regarding the industrially produced trans fatty acids, as it is the hot topic nowadays, and not only in Pakistan but also worldwide. But I would say that 50% of the world has covered this issue, and left 50% who are working on it, we are unfortunately one of among those countries. Here is the table of contents, which I will explain in this presentation. First of all, I would like to explain what is saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. We all know very well that unsaturated fatty acids are obviously liquid at room temperature, and they includes all the oils, vegetable oil, just like coconut oil, seeds, palm oil, and just like that. And the saturated fats are the solid at room temperature, specifically just like animal sourced desi ghee, cheese, beef, lard, and tallow. Trans fatty acids are naturally produced from the animal source, ruminant source. They are very good for the health. But we have the issue with the industrially produced trans fatty acids that comes from the vegetable fat source, and they are produced due to partially hydrogenated oils, and are created through the hydrogenation of liquid vegetable oils. ITFA are commonly found in our fried, baked, and frozen products. It was popular since 20th century for texture, taste, and shelf life. It becomes common during the Second World War, when they needed the oil or the ghee for longer shelf life. Then the saturated fats were produced, and this ITFA started to come from the saturated fat mainly. because saturated fats are produced by hydrogenation of oil, but we are not using proper hydrogenation, we are doing partially hydrogenation. So that's why ITFA started to produce, and they are found in banaspati ghee, margarine, bakery shortenings, and they have economical appeal due to their lower cost and longer shelf life that I have discussed earlier. And Pakistan ranks the second highest consumer of the trans fats in Eastern Mediterranean region. There are different dietary risk factors related to the ITFA, just as Salman Sahab has explained. It is related to the heart diseases, specifically cardiovascular diseases, and also related to the obesity. There is a high risk of ischemic heart diseases with 10.13% deaths attributed to the ITFA consumption, and 7.5% obesity rate among Pakistani adolescents is due to ITFA. As our young generation is moving to the fast food, and in fast food we are using partially hydrogenated oils for the frying specifically, and their ITFA is producing in much quantity. The objectives of this policy brief were to develop and promote the alternatives of ITFA, addressing both health and economic concern. As we can discuss the issue, normally people discuss about the issue but don't give the alternatives. In this policy brief, it was the very positive thing that they have focused on developing the alternatives also. Then promote and collaboration among the different stakeholders, creating the awareness, facilitating the dialogues among the industry, and conducting public campaigns. For this policy brief making, they have conducted the literature review, and they also have discussions with the in regulatory landscape, and they also examine them. They analyze the global best practices in ITFA. As I have told that 50% of the countries have adopted already they have covered this ITFA issue. So globally best practices were also studied by the SDPI team to during the methodology, and they also collaborate with various stakeholders, government, industry, and health sectors to gain the information about the ITFA current situation. The key findings were there is a decentralized food regulation system in Pakistan, as there are provincial authorities. They are working in their own capacity. There is no centralized system to make collaboration between them to share the data, and there is a variability in enforcement capacity across the provinces, just like Ceilings ban in Punjab Food Authority, but other provincial authorities can have the ceiling capacity. In the same way, Punjab Food Authority has the good lab capacities, while Balochistan Food Authority or Gilgit-Baltistan Food Authority, Islamabad Food Authority, they don't have the capacity of labs. There are challenges in enforcement, public awareness, and there is industry pressure. That is the major reason. In current situation, Pakistan's import of fats and oils ranks at the second largest after petroleum products, as just like they are the consumer, second largest consumer, so they are the second largest importer too. Edible fats and oils amount of $4.3 billion were imported in 2022. So it is emphasized the necessity for focused public and private investment. There is a demand for products containing ITFA in the country due to their texture, due to their taste. In Pakistan, food products were analyzed in 2010 for the TFA range, and there it was found very high or alarming in different food products, including the banaspati ghee. When banaspati ghee is containing 14 to 34%, then how you can imagine that when this oil or this ghee is used for cooking at 200 plus degrees centigrade, when it is we cook anything in this oil, the ITFA production rate will be higher in the food product that will be prepared. Then different organizations also conducted, and specifically regulatory bodies. Punjab Food Authority taken the initiative against the Vanaspati ghee. They wanted to ban it. Then they made the TFA regulations. They take it to 0.5%, and as a regulatory body, they took actions against them. So other authorities also adopted the same things after the Punjab Food Authority. That create a much difference in 10 years or 12 years. Now the analysis of the different products are shown in the slides. You can see that Vanaspati ghee, the TFA range has minimized from 14 to 34% to 0.37 to 6.9%. But some local ghee industries, just like Phool Vanaspati or something like that, they are still producing at the 14.47%. National and provincial ITF regulations. Before 2022, all the authorities have their own regulations and they were following that. But in 2022, PSQCA, due to meeting, it was decided that all the provincial authorities will follow the national standards that will be harmonized and in PSQCA. And in this, the PSQCA has made the national standards for the ITFA not more than 2 gram per 100 gram, just like WHO has said to the, and they have, WHO also has suggested that 1% limit of total energy intake equivalent to 2.2 gram per day in a 2000 calorie diet. Punjab Food Authority regulations of all TFA associated, as I have told, that they have 0.5% decided in the Vanaspati shortenings margin and spread, and 3% limit for infant formula. But now, due to harmonized standards, it's 2% in all food products and in vegetable ghee. For ITFA issue, there are two types of alternatives that we can give to the industry or the people or the stakeholders who are relevant to them. These are alternative sources. We have to change our the raw material or the source of the oil and ghee production. It includes the palm oil, palm olein, and other options, canola oil, sunflower oil. We can use them in the various fractions and make their blend to produce the blending oil or control the ITFA free Vanaspati ghee production or the minimum ITFA production in the oil industry. Direct blending of 60% palm stearin or 40% vegetable oil produce the most acceptable melting Vanaspati ghee, while 95% palm oil and 5% palm stearin, they also produce Vanaspati ghee of 38 degrees centigrade melting point. But these are the issues. There are some issues related to the saturated fat also, they because they cause the health hazards. It is also an issue for the industry and the regulatory bodies, and it is under discussion at the PSQCA to set the standards for the limitation of the saturated fatty acids also in the sorry. The product appears the homogeneous and has a soft consistency with no oil separation. For alternative practices in the industry, rather than exploring the alternative raw materials, there is also an option to use the different technologies. And in this, dry fractionation is also a technology that can be used with the blending, and there is esterification process, which also help to reduce the ITF production. Esterification is of two types, enzymatic and chemical. Both are in use, but in Pakistan, it is not in trend. In Pakistan, the industries are mainly focusing on the blending. We can build the laboratory, we can increase the laboratory capacity of ITF to assess the ITF content. As in Pakistan, we have only the PCSIR lab in Karachi that is at this time assessing the ITF content. Punjab Food Authority is working on that. Might be they will start soon ITFA analysis, but there are no other labs. So we have to we have to work on the capacity building of the laboratories to assess the ITFA contents. Introducing duties and taxes more favorable to ITFA free products, as we are giving the industry an alternative source. They have to expend more their they expend more on the ITFA free products, so we have to give them some more favorable situations, or you can say some incentives, so that they can come on this point. For recommendations, these are the following stakeholders, just like Parliament and Provincial Assembly members. They can play their role by taking this issue in the Parliament and by approving this from government to give incentives to the industry and to support the regulatory bodies in sense of their laboratories. And Ministry of Food Security and provincial governments, they can also play part in this way. In the same way, Ministry of Science and Technology, as PCSIR comes under the Ministry of Science and Technology, so this ministry can support the PCSIR for reducing the cost of the test, so that unless the other laboratories cannot be established, the PCSIR can support the regulatory bodies in testing or assessing the oils. Federal and provincial food authorities must be strengthened for this purpose, so that they can regulate or can force the industry to implement this regulation that has been passed 2% of the ITFA. In the same way, SDPI and other think tanks and other civil society partners, including media, they can play a part by creating awareness, just like SDPI has created this beautiful document. This is very informative. Such type of awareness and such type of webinars or seminars can create awareness among the people. In the same way, Chamber of Commerce can play their role. They can collect all the industry people there, and they can create awareness among them. These are the all stakeholders have, I think all stakeholders have to play part in this, so that we can control the ITFA. Finally, it is a complex challenge to eradicate the IFA, but we have to adopt the effective policies, then partially hydrogenated oils, and must focus on the labeling, that industry has to mention on the label about the ITFA. It is a multifaceted approach, because all stakeholders have to play their part. And last but not least, we have to make a commitment that we will work in collaboration. Then we can get the successful implementation of the ITFA reduction. The SDPI have work plan regarding this ITFA. In 2024, they will launch the development of an ITFA-free database, including gathering the inputs from the industry experts and beginning collaboration with SMEs, advocacy for ITFA labeling and restrictions, and conduct workshops with MNFSR and related bodies in Punjab and Gilgit-Baltistan. They will continue refining the ITFA-free database and initiate communication plan to educate the stakeholders, and they will also engage the government and parliament members to sensitize them on the ITFA issue, and they will continue their campaigns on the social media and for the medical professionals and market actors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tahira, for the comprehensive presentation. I now request Mr. Yasha Gulreez to lead the panel discussion in what promises to be robust and fruitful discussion.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Starting with the brief introduction of our panelist. Mr. Fatt Waheed will be joining us, and he joined us and is currently serving as a director at Fauji Cooking Oils and Banaspati. Leveraging his experience and knowledge, he effectively steered the Wahid group of companies toward diversifying into the palm oil industry. Dr. Syed Tufail Hussain is a renowned specialist in his field of expertise, which mostly revolves around quantitative analysis of fatty acid compositions of various vegetable oils, focusing on trans fatty acid, and possesses an in-depth understanding of oil chemistry. Dr. Afrinesh Amir, a medical microbiologist with over 15 years of experience in clinical microbiology and infectious diseases, currently working as a project director at NIH and contributing greatly to the implementation of various national action plans. Dr. Suleiman have been serving in the Ministry of Health since 2012 and currently hold the position of Deputy Assistant Registrar at PMDC. Within the healthcare sector, he effectively coordinated with multiple hospitals, overseeing regulatory functions, establishing frameworks, and contributing to the policy-making initiatives. So Dr. Farah Atar will be joining us soon. She is serving as a Deputy Director of Punjab Food Authority, has 11 years of experience in food security and quality, along with forming multiple rules and regulation, effectively contributing to the initiative of eliminating ITFA from the food supply chain. Mr. Tasawwur Iqbal will be joining us from the ministry. He'll be online soon. So I think we should start with the questions. Moving on to the question, my first question is from Mr. Fahd Wahid. So sir, as an industrialist or as an industrial representative, what are the main technical and economic challenges you faced while transitioning to ITFA-free production process? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting on this important seminar. Whereas I've heard a lot of discussion on the ITFA, I would like to actually bring the noise towards what is the lifestyle of Pakistan. We consume about 20 kgs per capita. And if we compare that to countries that do not have cardiovascular diseases linked to it, because scientifically there's no correlation between the trans fatty acids found in vegetable oil. Since I'm one of the largest importers, I understand Taha is also around from Cargill. If you see nowadays in Pakistan, you'll see VTF technology. I own one of those technologies. It's virtually trans fat free, so it goes lower than 2%. So technically and soundly, I can say that the technology is available. It's all about the awareness at this point. Pakistan में बहुत सख्त ज़रूरत है awareness की. I remember when PFA was formed, and I hope Tahira is also listening. Tahira is a colleague from Islamabad Food Authority, and I've had a couple of meetings with her as well. It has to be understood that itna आसान नहीं होता है. When PFA kicked in 2016, the first mandate that came over was, we're going to kill Banaspati, ban on Banaspati. So that was actually not the solution at that point. Since she also mentioned, and I would like to reiterate that, it's very easy to condemn, but as a growing industry and one of the second largest industry in Pakistan, edible oil ki, if you see in all of the presentations, it's been mentioned, कि import to बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही है. It's 4.3 billion every year, and it's increasing 10% almost every year. I would recommend, and I would say, we have to look on the flip side of it. We have to change our dietary choices. We consume too much of oil as a nation. When we come up to, uniformity of limits, so PSQ says the national carrier, when 18th Amendment came in, it actually created a lot of problems and a lot of friction between the provinces when the food authority came around. So when the food authorities came around, every food authority in different parts of Pakistan had their own mandate and had their own kind of testing, parameters. So a factory like me who's producing from Karachi and selling in Kashmir, I cannot, in Karachi, if I have to manufacture, I have to follow a Sindh Food Authority. And if I have to sell it in KPK, I have to follow the KPK authority. So technically it's impossible. So if you see, I also saw that, in your thorough concept note and the description I had before, it was thoroughly mentioned in 2021, there was a case filed from the industry. And yes, when I say industry has to be responsible, we have to be responsibly, taking this up. We have been doing so, and that is why VTF was introduced. And if you see on the shelves of Pakistan today, you'll see a lot of brands that have VTF very boldly written on it. So you understand those are below 2%, or virtually you say it's trans fat free. So that is one of the processes. And when it comes to hydrogenations, yes, there are units in Pakistan, and those are actually going to, give in very soon, given that the awareness is there. But it's not very easy at this point to, kill the entire industry and then come over. But on the flip side of it, yes, there's room for growth. There's room for growth, and it has to be done. When it comes to obesity and different I would say consumption designs of Pakistani people. Yes, if you understand, we consume more sugar than other people as well. So obesity cannot be linked directly to palm oil, or because you cannot die of eating lots of palm oil unless there's I would say you go over the limit board. So that is something I would stress on, and it's very simply put, म्याना रवि इख्तियार करें, and that's something I live by, and that's something I preach by, कि हमें हर चीज में at least ध्यान ये रखना है कि हम हर चीज उससे ज्यादा नहीं खाएं. I understand अब रमजान आता है, and I was at an iftar every day, and I see this, that people actually consume a lot of oil, and our cooking methods are also not right. So when you even you fry something, so similarly, let's just say हम सब समझते हैं कि stir frying जो है वो बड़ी अच्छी होती है क्योंकि वो deep frying नहीं है. But stir fry actually it brings out a lot of trans fatty acids of the animal fat as well. वो जो आप chicken खा रहे हैं, वो जो आप mutton खा रहे हैं, उसके अंदर से भी trans fatty acids निकलते हैं, oils निकलते हैं, जो कि mix हो जाते हैं इसके अंदर. Wherein it's technically, I have been speaker for government of Indonesia on this. I've been on panels on different scientific boards of palm oil, and correlatively, when we had this case with Pakistan Food Authority, I am just going to clear that position before I come to the Chambers of Commerce part of it. We had an entire scientific discussion, and no, there was still no relation to trans fatty acids correlating to cardiovascular diseases. To put it out there, I am a patient of triglycerides as well, cholesterol. And funny side is, मैं बिल्कुल oil consume नहीं करता हूँ. I am one of the driest persons around. I don't eat oil at all. So it doesn't correlate to my triglycerides. Even it's actually linked to my genetics. So that's something we need to look around as well. Yes, I really appreciate Mrs. Tyra telling us about the Chambers of Commerce. Yes, we need to sit down. We need to bring people, all the stakeholders on board together, and we need to work a way out of this. कि industry भी responsibly behave करे, और at the other end of it, हमारी harmony हो, जो कि मेरी है Islamabad Food Authority के साथ, and this happens, and especially thanks to you guys. आप लोगों ने ये जो सेमिनार आज कंडक्ट कर रहे हैं, I think it's one of the best things that we need at this time in Pakistan, because हमें समझने की ज़रूरत है कि all directions cannot be right at the same time. So I would actually thank Yaya and the entire team, Vakar, for actually hosting this. I haven't seen this in 3 years, so hats off to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Well said. Most definitely, change in dietary choices and the awareness is the way to go. And without those, we are unable to effectively control the ITFA or any other disease. So moving on to Dr. Syed Tufail. Sir, the policy brief highlights the need for research into healthier fat alternatives. What are the priority research areas, and how can partnership between academia, the food industry, and the government may be fostered to advance this research? Please, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So first of all, I would like to thank the SDPI and Cargill for arranging such way the talk on a very important issue, that how to reduce the trans fat and its policy. So थोड़ा सा मैं आप लोगों को बताऊंगा जो रिपोर्ट आपने भेजी है। सबसे पहले तो मैं इसके ऊपर थोड़ा सा बात करूंगा। क्या है शेयर माय स्क्रीन विद यू। उस रिपोर्ट में कुछ बहुत मेजर गलतियां हैं, तो मैं आपको जरा हाईलाइट कर दूं ताकि वो रेक्टिफाई करने, क्योंकि इस रिपोर्ट में काफी सर्कुलेट होना है, तो थोड़ी सी चीजें हैं वो मैं उसको ना रिपोर्ट को। कैन यू शेयर माय स्क्रीन विद यू?
Sir, I'll have to check. Let me just, we can take this after the question, after the session, so that we can collective opinion can be shared all at once.
Yes,
again.
yes, it will be fine. It will be fine.
Thank you, sir.
So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. That my name is Syed Shah. I am working as a professor and director in National Center of Excellence in Medical Chemistry, University of Sydney. In 2006, I went to McGill University, Canada. So from the January 2006, so FDA issued a rule, the mandatory labeling of TFA, all those products, not only the oils, in which oil is involved as an ingredient. So it was January 2006. So I went in McGill University, Canada. So I worked on the trans fat. So we have developed many methods. So for the analysis of trans fat by using the FDIR spectroscopy. So now I am coming to your just question, that what are the alternative sources, that how can academia and different agencies can collaborate on this issue. So I think Dr. Tahira Siddiqui was discussing on the alternate issues. So I would like to appreciate her presentation, but on only one thing which she mentioned in alternate sources, that palm stearine can be mixed with other liquid oil. So my point is that palm stearine would not use for edible applications. So palm stearine, it's melting our the body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. And the melting point of vegetable ghee, it is approximately, you can say, less than 39%. It should be. And the melting point of, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please continue.
And the melting point of palm stearine, it is more than 60 degrees centigrade. So it cannot be mixed in the edible oil or in any formulation. So it could be used for the soap manufacturing. So this is not just one point. So there are alternate techniques or approaches are available, just like interacidification, enzymatic hybridization. So these are already available in the market. So some industries, so they are basically not doing the partial hybridization, but they hybridate fully oil, and then they mix oil, liquid oil, just like soybean oil or canola oil, in the fully hybridated oil. So again, I would like to say the full hybridization is not recommendable. because if you fully hydrate the oil, its melting point may increase, you can say, up to the 72 degree centigrade. So again, so it is the dangerous for the health. So the fluid hydration is also not recommendable for the edible applications. So sometimes the industry fluid hydrate the oil and mix the liquid oil and keep it in the cold storages and then market. So after marketing, when it went to the market, so when temperature is above 25 or 30 degrees centigrade, the liquid part comes above, and the either it is the tin or can, or so the people uses the liquid oil first and then the solid portion, so it is the layers. So now I am coming to the second portion, that how can the different organization, even the NGOs, different authorities, be just like Punjab Food Authority, Sindh Food Authority, and Balochistan Food Authority, and similarly the Capital Food Authority and KP Food Authority, and also the PSQCA, and different ministries. So they have, I think, the giant meeting and giant committee. So that should work. All the stakeholders, even industry, should be involved. Main stakeholder is the industry, basically who have to produce the product, just like the transferring. And another point is that virtual transferring is yes, it is the terminology. Otherwise, it is impossible to produce the virtual transferring oil, because even at the time of bleaching and hydration, the cis fatty acids are converted into the trans fat. So maybe their level is in between 1 to 2%. However, in deodorization process, so 1 to 2% trans fat are produced. So how can it be virtually transferring? And according to the definition of FDA, so those products which has less than 0.5% TFA, so any company can code such products as the trans-free, those products which has less than 0.5% TFA. So this is my brief discussion. There is a lot of discussion on the fact. And again, I would like to say that trans fatty acid is very, very dangerous for the health. It has no any nutrition value. It is the unnecessary fatty acid. So it has no role in the nutrition health because it is not absorbed in the body. So we categorize the oil and fat into 3 categories. One is the good fat. Good fat basically elevate the level of good cholesterol, that is the LDL. And the bad fat and the bad fat basically decrease the level of, you can say, they increase the level of bad cholesterol. And then third one is the ugly fat, which is the trans fat. So दोनों बुरे काम ये करती है. So it elevate the level of LDL and decrease the level of HDL. जो अच्छा कोलेस्ट्रॉल है उसका लेवल कम करती है और जो बुरे कोलेस्ट्रॉल के लेवल उसको बढ़ाती है. So we have to control the TFA in our final product. Yes, I fully endorse the speakers that they said that the obesity from the Cargill Usman Kajum. So he beautifully presented the presentation and said the obesity is linked with the PFA. Yes, because the melting point of PFA is more than 42 degrees centigrade. So it would not be melted in the body. So it is stored in the body. So that should be, I think, controlled. So I don't want to take so much time. So in other discussion, say I will give my some input. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting some really important pointers and elaborating us on the matter. We'll come back to you for the second question again. So moving on to Dr. Afrinesh, my next question is for you, ma'am. As a government representatives, what are the anticipated challenges in maintaining a balance between public health objectives and economic interest of food industry, and how can these be navigated?
Okay, thank you, Yaya. Tell me if I'm audible to you. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you. Otherwise, I would have switched the video if it is not clear. Okay, so the question is quite interesting. We have to leverage on the two things. One is the economic interest of the food industry, and other is the public health interest objectives. So first, we have to understand what are the economic interests of the food industry, and if we understand this concept, then definitely we will be able to navigate, and we will be able to integrate more better way. So the economic interest from the industry point of view, it can be supply and demand. They can be changes in the demand, and they can be changes in the supplies, and eventually affecting the prices, production, and the sales. There can be a challenge from the interest rates. We can see that there are challenges towards the supply chain. The supply chain involves the movements of the supplies from producer to the consumer, and the larger a supply chain can result in higher product cost and the waste. The other thing that is of interest from the economic point of view is the technology advances that I have just seen Dr. Tahira's presentation, and there are many new advances that have been discussed, and these are the need for the hour. And the other is the from the public health point of view, the demographic shift that needs to be understood quite very well while talking about the economic interest. So if we keep all these things in mind, what are the things that we can think from the public health objective? Our main priority is the public health, and how can we see the challenges between the two things? There is an industry, there is a public health objectives, and what is the biggest challenge is the potential conflict of interest. And the factors that I have just discussed, they can play a huge role in this potential conflict of interest. We can see there are different priorities. Priorities from the public health point of view, we can see a challenge from the priorities from the economic point of view. And then we see a challenge in the terms of regulations. And Tahira has very well mentioned that there are regulations present, but in the SWOT analysis, they have clearly mentioned about the lack of the implementation of those regulations and policies in the industry, in the industrial practices. So what can be best done to navigate these challenges? It is important to understand the two things on the separate ways, but we have to prioritize the public health in any way possible, and we have to establish the clear guidelines and the regulations that prioritize the public health. And but meanwhile, we have to keep in considering the economic impact on the food industry. Then we can build the collaborations. Collaboration is much needed. Tahir has also mentioned that there is segregated approach at various levels. There are multiple stakeholders which are working at various levels. But what is needed is actually a collaboration between the government agencies between the health organizations. We can see that we need a good collaboration with the industrial stakeholders. And we all can sit together and find solutions that can eventually benefit both the public health and also the economic interest of the industries. The biggest thing that we fear during all these conversations is the transparency or the monitoring, the balance between the two things that needs to be maintained very well. So the transparency through better communication, the bridging the gaps between the two sectors, this can be a best solution to overcome this challenge. And the most important thing, I keep on emphasizing on this thing time and again, that monitoring and evaluations. Whatever policy you make, whatever the action plan you make, in the end, you need to evaluate it, if it is happening or if it is going on the right track or not. So these are some of the suggestions from my end to overcome the challenges between the two things, and how can we move forward on this thing. Thank you.
you so much, ma'am. Well pointed. We need clear guidelines and a definite collaboration is must between the industry and the stakeholders in order to combat this ITFA problem. So thank you so much, ma'am. So my next question is from Dr. Suleiman. Sir, what are the most significant barriers to consumer awareness about dangers of ITFA consumption, and how can we effectively address them? All yours, sir.
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Please.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'll just go into a little detail background of our today's topic. Quite interesting. Dr. Tahira has very well elaborated. मैं थोड़ा सा इसके background में जाना चाहूँगा that common sources of the because हमने इसमें चूँकि सारे aspects discuss करने हैं तो common sources of the trans fat include partially hydrogenated oil, which already discussed, fried foods, packed foods, commercially prepared baked goods, and all that. और जो common diseases इसकी वजह से, being a doctor, I will definitely go into these details as well, because one of my dear fellow has said that इसकी वजह से cardiovascular diseases नहीं होती. कुछ there are हमारी हर इंसान की body immune system different होता है. It might have affected some people and it might not affect others. Cardiovascular diseases, especially with referring to LDL and HDL, it is known to increase the LDL, it is known to decrease the HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and thus increase an imbalance and increase the cardiac disease risk. It can also causes the inflammation, that is maybe it can provoke the diabetes, arthritis, and certain type of cancers. It can cause insulin resistance, it can cause obesity as well at the same time. And most importantly, fetal development, including low birth weight and impaired cognitive developments. What can be broadly done into this regard is the policy development and enforcement to establish clear regulations limiting the amount of trans fats allowed in products limited. Mandatory labeling laws. Okay, about the mandatory labeling law, there are, I may not be want to be opinionated on this, but I don't think so that everybody go and study the label of everything they purchase. Starting from our own home, हमारा जो पाकिस्तानियों का लाइफस्टाइल है वो इतना मेरे ख्याल से अब हम मॉडिफाई हो चुका है विद टाइम्स दैट हमारे अगर हम पर्सनली मतलब ऑल ऑफ अस वी आर सिटिंग हियर, हम अगर अपने घरों की बात करें तो हम सबसे पहले तो ये देखें कि हम कितने वो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जिसमें आज हम डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं कि ये कितने मुज़र सेहत है या इस पे रिस्ट्रिक्शन होनी चाहिए गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से और हमें इस पे काम करना चाहिए. तो हम पहले अपने आप को देखें कि हम वो प्रोडक्ट्स कितना यूज कर रहे हैं अपने घरों में. तो it has become very much common in our in everyone home, और ओवर द काउंटर वो चीज़ें अवेलेबल है ऑन डेली बेसिस पे वो यूज़ करते हैं. तो सबसे पहले तो हमें इसको इस एंगल से देखना है कि अगर हम वो चीज़ यूज़ कर रहे हैं तो कॉमन पर्सनस व्यू और आई हम उसको कैसे रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो अगर हम वो अपने आप पे कर लें इम्प्लीमेंट तो आई कैन इट विल बी मोर इजी फॉर अस टू फॉर्मुलेट कि हम बाकी लोगों पे ये कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट करा सकते हैं. Public awareness campaigns, of course, education campaigns, information on how to identify and avoid food with high trans. Industrial engagement is very much important because offer training program to workshop for food industry professional reduction strategies, including alternative के बारे में बहुत important है कि वो what is the alternative for that, because हम हमारा ये ट्रांस अगर हम इसको चेंज करना चाहेंगे तो it will probably get us a decade. It will not be, I'm not sure, but it will not be less than a decade if you want to bring this change into our real life of Pakistan. So what are the alternatives for that? That is very much important. And monitoring and surveillance of the same program and formulation. International collaboration is, of course, very much important. Policy evaluation and adaptation. Now, coming to your question, what you have just asked, that what are the important significant barriers to consumer awareness about the dangers of ITFA consumption? As we all know that ITFA consumption poses significant health risks, including cardiovascular disease, other health effects. However, consumer जो barriers हैं वो है बहुत ज़्यादा, which include the lack of labeling. But I will again say कि वो इतना ज़्यादा important इस वजह से नहीं है, because no one go into the detail of reading the labeling while purchasing any such products. Misleading marketing tactics भी हो सकती है, क्योंकि it might have mentioned on the label that it is trans free or it has low fats. However, it is not the case. Limited understanding or education of the general population, in which many consumers may not fully understand the health implications of consuming trans fats, or may not be typically aware of the same. A very important point is for a few socioeconomic group is availability and affordability. If you go to the lower socioeconomic group, in some areas, healthier alternatives of food contain trans fat may be less accessible or maybe more expensive, making it challenging for consumer. However, as we are talking about the processed ones, so it do not cater that area, yet it need to be given an eye to, oversight to as well. And to effectively address these barriers and raise consumer awareness about the dangers of ITF consumption, the following strategies may be implemented for wherein mandatory labeling, highlighting हमारी local language में, और easy readable होना चाहिए, और इस पे focused होना चाहिए, कुछ ऐसा हो जिस पे जो भी कोई खरीदे तो उस पे लाजमी focus करें. Public awareness campaigns are very much mandatory in this regard, because as I mentioned earlier कि ये हमारा एक generic issue बन चुका है. It's not कि there is a difference between being theoretical and being practical. Now that it has the problem has including everybody's home and personal lives. So अगर एक practical बन चुका है तो हमारा approach भी practical होना चाहिए rather than theoretical. Regulations about the marketing claims, in which government can enforce stricter regulations on marketing claims related to trans fats to prevent misleading labeling and advertising practices. Healthier food policies, in which the government can implement policies aimed to reducing the presence of trans fat in the food supply, such as setting limits on the amount of trans fat allowed in food products, or providing incentive for food manufacturers to reformulate their products with healthier fats. Nutrition education program is, of course, very much important, and collaborating with the food industry. Without that, it's impossible. And retailers can help promote the production of availability of healthier alternatives to foods high in trans fat, making it easier for consumer to choose healthier option. And by implementing a combination of these strategies, policymakers, health organizations, and industry stakeholders can work together to raise consumer awareness about the dangers of ITFA consumption and facilitate healthy dietary choices. But again, going back to the topic again, I will reiterate that labeling को कोई इतना ज़्यादा नहीं देखता. हमारी मेरे ख्याल से जो मेन फोकस ऑफ पॉइंट होना चाहिए, फोकस ऑफ डिस्कशन, वो ये कि how can we reformulate this, or the government can implementation policy making वहाँ से होनी चाहिए, और फिर with the help of different stakeholders and NGOs इस पे campaign होनी चाहिए on a broader level, on a mass level, क्योंकि ये again I will say कि ये मसला हमारे घरों के अंदर आ चुका है, और हम इसको सिर्फ generic या थोड़े बहुत campaign से eliminate करने के लिए बड़ा मुश्किल है. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. The pointers that you raised are very important. The reformulation of the product, making a source that is cost effective, proper labeling, followed by awareness campaigns. All these pointers are very important to ensure that ITF is eliminated. So thank you, sir. Moving on to Mr. Fahad. I would want to ask him another question, continuing his previous discussion, building on that. Sir, you talked about this VTF technology. Can you shed a light on this technology, what this technology is? And and to further elaborate the question. What innovative strategies can ensure that ITFA reduction does not lead to increased cost for consumers, particularly those in lower income brackets? Because it's more like how much the affordability is very important as well. Off to you, sir, Mr. Fahd. Okay, so Mr. Fahd is no longer with us, I think. So moving on to Dr. Syed Tufail. Sir, would you like to shed light on the matter? Or do you have, would you like to elaborate on the matter? Dr. Syed? Is he with us? Okay. I think he's not.
Yes, you now you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
You can hear me?
Sir, there was this question. Do you want me to repeat it?
So I have to elaborate the present discussion, or I want to discuss on the report which you have sent to me.
Yes, sir. Please do try to share the screen if you want. I hope it works. We are facing some technical issues. We are unable to share the screen. Please do try. Let me just ask.
Okay, fine. To control the trans fat,
Yeah.
so it is the basic. First of all, now the BSQCA has fixed its level. It should be less than 2%. Okay. Now it is the responsibility of, I think, all the food authorities to implement on this regulation. First one. And second one is that in Pakistan, so the analysis or the determination of trans fat, so the laboratory or you can say the availability of the lab, so it are very, very specific. Okay. So there is, I think, no or too much जो आप ये कह सकेंगे बहुत ज्यादा लैब्स हैं हमारे पास जिनके लिए हम इतनी तादाद में सैंपल भेजें और वहां जाकर उनकी एग्जैक्ट एनालिसिस हो। तो दूसरा पॉइंट ये है कि हमने अपनी जो लैब्स हैं, जो मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज हैं, उनको भी उसी हिसाब से डेवलप करना है। मेरी आवाज आ रही है? आपकी आवाज आ नहीं रही मुझे।
Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible, sir?
अभी आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us on the matter. Sir, now I would like to request the JED of SDPI to conclude the session. Dr. Waqar Ahmed, please, sir, can you step in and take the mic, sir? Thank you.
Let me start by thanking our partners, Cargill and Ministry of National Food Security and Research, for their continued collaboration and support to our efforts. I'm very grateful to Mr. Osman Qayyum and all the other fellow panelists who have joined here, including Dr. Sayyid Tufail Saab, Dr. Amir Saiba, Dr. Salman, Tasawwur Iqbal Sahab, my colleagues who have co-authored the report as well, Dr. Tahira, Dr. Razia, and of course the team which includes Fatma and Yahya from SDPI side. I think what we have tried to establish in this collaboration with MNFSR and Cargill is that, of course, there's a high health risk being posed by TFAs contributing to various sorts of illnesses, and how think tanks and health advocacy groups could push for regulations, for enforcements, and become agents of change. We do understand that resistance to change will continue from some quarters, and we'll continue to work with them, not only for their own enhanced knowledge, bring more evidence to them, but also to address their concerns about production costs, about reformulation challenges. We also note that there are issues with regards to lack of consumer awareness about the dangers of TFAs, which might create initial resistance or some resistance from the public, which is accustomed to those foods and products. The good part is that there are strategies at hand for change, and to start with, as many of my esteemed panelists have elaborated, that federal government could implement more evidence-based practices to limit the TFA content, aligning with international standards. There are countries which have provided financial and fiscal incentives for food manufacturers, which could be adopted for healthier alternatives during the reformulation. The government could also take a lead in really continuing this public awareness campaigns which SDPI, Cargill, and partners have initiated, highlighting the health risks and promoting healthier food choices. Now, think tanks like SDPI and other health advocacy groups continue to help the federal and provincial governments through, of course, research. But we also feel that partnerships with media are also important to educate the various stakeholders, which is something which we are doing under the current project as well, but we'll continue to do this with the help of ministry to promote healthier dietary habits. In this regards, of course, Ministry of Health and provincial health departments are also partnering with SDPI. One area where we would really like to encourage our development partners and donor organizations to also look into supporting the behavioral change towards TFA, both on production side as well as on the consumption side. Most of the donor organizations in Pakistan do have their health units, which could really help in targeting those segments of resistance where behavioral change is required. We have also requested in the past that some of the development partners, there are examples that they've helped consumer associations in India and other parts of South Asia. And we do understand that while consumer associations and consumer networks continue to do good work in Pakistan, but they also require capacity, which is where our development partners could help. To start with, of course, consumer associations need to educate themselves about TFAs and responsible food choices, labeling, supporting restaurants, hotels who offer healthier alternatives with lower TFA content. We've also noted and seen that the role of multinationals in this effort has been important. We see this in case of India, China, Asia Pacific, that MNCs have brought the international experience on replacing unhealthy fats with healthier alternatives in their products. And this has essentially set a very positive example for both the industry and the consumer. And to start with, the multinationals in Pakistan really could collaborate with local manufacturers to share knowledge and best practices for TFA reduction. This is an area which we've already discussed with Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I was very encouraged to see my colleague, Mr. Fahd Waheed, representing the chamber, and they have come forward and they look forward to learning from MNCs on the best practices. In case of provincial governments, may I say that we do note, and we have noted there some capacity issues in some provinces, not all. And this is where probably WHO offers access to technical expertise, which provincial food departments could access. They could prioritize, they could invest in strengthening their own food safety regulations and enforcement mechanisms to ensure compliance with the TFA limits. In some provinces, our own assessment noted that food inspectors also required some training on monitoring of the content in the food products. There is some learning, cross-province learning that can also happen. So for example, if some provinces are ahead of the curve, they could come forward to share their experience with others. So with this, I once again thank our colleagues, our panelists who have joined, and thank you, Yahya, and Fatma for moderating this. And I'm sure that this is not the one-off meeting under this collaboration that Cargill, SDPI, and MNFSR have. We look forward to hosting you for the next meeting in this series, which should fall in April. So thank you, and back to you, Yahya.
Thank you so much, sir, so thank you all the panelists for joining, and we'll be looking forward to the next.
Thanks for beautiful conclusion. So I just want to share my screen with you, if possible.
Sure, sir.
Please, now it is disabled. Please, can you enable this? Yes, now it is working. Yes. So here are a few points which are highlighted. So please correct this one because it is a very important document. So it will be shared to many people. First of all, the trans fat, particularly industrial trans fat, fatty acids are essential component of the global fat. So these are not the essential component. It is the part of diet, but not the essential component. First one. And second one is the trans fat are classified mainly to unsaturated and saturated. It is totally wrong. Because trans fat is only and only unsaturated fatty acid, not the saturated fatty acid. So please correct this one. You can say only remove the trans fats are classified mainly into unsaturated and saturated fats. It will be okay. Please delete this word trans here. And similarly, if trans fat only in the produce the trans fats in the food supply with TFA or personified oils are created through the complete. So basically, you can hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Hello? You can hear me, please?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.